Welcome to Rio Bravo Rocklin, a biomass power generation facility. In the next few minutes, we'd like to tell you about a few basic rules, policies, and hazards at our facility. Because your safety is our #1 priority, we require that all outside contractors complete our safety orientation briefing. Please pay close attention to our plant's rules and regulations. Any violation can result in you or your company being restricted from the premises. As a result, payment will only be made for work completed up to the time of restriction. A valid driver's license is required to operate any vehicle on the grounds of the plant, as well as proof of training related to the operation of any specialized mobile equipment. Contractor personnel are not allowed to operate plant vehicles. When you arrive on the plant site, we will ask you or someone from your company to sign in everyone on your work crew in the control room, which is located in the administration building. We'll ask you to follow this procedure every day, since it is important to us to account for all contracted personnel on site. As an employee of Rio Bravo Rocklin, we will require you to wear an OSHA-approved hard hat, safety glasses with side shields, hearing protection, and sturdy footwear. As a contractor, you are also responsible for complying with all federal, state, and local regulations, including, but not limited to, OSHA and the EPA. Smoking is not permitted on this site. However, we do have designated smoking areas outside of the main gate, where you will find suitable containers for disposing your cigarettes. Under no circumstances is smoking allowed in the fuel storage area. Each day, prior to starting work, a safe work permit must be filled out in the control room and will be signed by the control room operator, who will answer any questions that you might have to fill out this form correctly. One copy of this form will be kept in the control room, and one will be given to you to have at the work site. Before leaving work at the end of the day, you must sign off on this form just as you signed on that morning. While you are completing this safe work permit, you and the control room operator will decide if a system or component lockout/tagout will be required. If a lockout is required, you will need to supply your own locks. At this time, it will also be determined if a confined space permit or hot work permit will be required. Before any hot work is to be performed, a hot work permit must be issued. Hot work includes welding, cutting with a torch, grinding, or any spark-producing activity. The contractor is required to provide a qualified fire watch during the hot work and for a period of time after the hot work is completed to verify that there is no possibility of fire. Welding in well-traveled areas requires the use of curtains to prevent eye injuries to other employees. Proper ventilation is also an essential consideration. And it's important to know the characteristics of the materials you are working with. Burning galvanized metal, for example, can give off hazardous smoke and gases, which can be harmful if inhaled. All permits, including hot work permits, will be issued in the control room by the control room operator on a daily or per shift basis, depending on the nature and scope of the work. If entry into a permit confined space is required, we require the contractor to abide by all appropriate OSHA rules and regulations. It's the responsibility of the contractor to ensure personnel at the job site are trained in confined space entry and all documentation is retained and available for review by Rio Bravo Rocklin personnel. The contractor is required to verify that an attendant is outside of the work area to maintain communications as necessary and provide assistance without entering the space. Communication must be maintained verbally or by two-way radio. The confined space permit is good for periods of 3 hours or less, depending on the classification of the space being entered and the nature of the work being performed. After that time, the atmosphere must be tested again. As a contractor, you're expected to bring all required tools and equipment to the plant site. In addition to signing up for the necessary permits, it is also necessary to get the approval of the control room operator for hooking up your machines. A qualified staff technician will be happy to accompany you to any one of the numerous welding receptacles installed throughout the plant. At no time is the contractor allowed to open or close valves or electrical breakers or change the status of any equipment without the knowledge and approval of the control room operator. One of the best safety guidelines around is common sense. If you believe that what you're attempting is unsafe, talk with your supervisor and devise a better method. Also be advised that any Rio Bravo Rocklin staff member is authorized to stop your work if he or she feels it's unsafe. Now that we've reviewed the rules and regulations of our plant, let's take a closer look at some potential safety hazards that you may find here. To produce electricity at our plant, we use a combination of high-pressure, high-temperature process piping containing air, water, natural gas, and steam. The pressures range from a full vacuum to greater than 1500 psi, with temperatures ranging from ambient to greater than 1700 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of the piping that can cause thermal injuries is insulated, but there are still exposed metal components that have the potential to cause injury. Please do not touch or grab non-insulated piping or valves until you know its temperature first. At Rio Bravo Rocklin, we have many types of acids, solvents, and water treatment chemicals on site in large quantities. A hazardous material label marks these chemical tanks. Material safety data sheets for these chemicals are available on request. If you are dealing with these chemicals, please use extreme caution. Be sure to wear all required clothing, including protective suits, gloves, and face shields. We cannot emphasize enough how important it is to be careful. Another hazardous chemical we have on site is anhydrous ammonia. The tank is located east of the boiler structure, adjacent to the gravel fire road. If you're in the vicinity of the ammonia tank and an alarm sounds or an announcement is made over the intercom system of a leak, you should leave the area immediately, go to the parking lot in the front of the plant, or follow specific instructions given by the control room operator over the intercom system. Windsocks are located on the north side of the ammonia tank and the west side of the main parking lot. You need to be aware of the direction of the wind and always make your way upwind, away from the leak. Exposure to anhydrous ammonia can result in immediate severe burns and instantaneous blindness. Equipped with very sensitive ammonia detection devices, the system sends out a loud alarm even if the slightest leak is detected. In the event you become exposed to anhydrous ammonia, you should immediately go to the nearest eye wash safety shower and wash off the affected area for 15 minutes. Please speak with a Rio Bravo Rocklin employee for the location of the eye wash safety shower nearest your work area. Every vendor or contractor is required to carry a material safety data sheet for any material they bring onto the job site, whether it's for the current job or just happens to be in the vehicle. No exceptions. The contractor is also responsible for disposal of all hazardous waste or chemicals brought onto the site, or hazards that may have been created during the course of the contracted work. The contractor is also held responsible for the cleanup of their work area. Good housekeeping is a must prior to, during, and at the completion of the job. As with many industrialized settings, there are always fire hazards present. The primary source for fire is the wood fuel storage area. Extreme caution should be used when performing any work in this area. Hot work permit and fire watch are required. In addition to the wood fuel, our plant uses natural gas as a secondary fuel source. If you suspect a natural gas leak, no matter how small, stop all work in the area immediately and notify the control room. If any hot work is to be performed on any natural gas piping, it must first be purged, with either compressed air or an inert gas such as nitrogen. Any procedure such as this must first be discussed with the control room operator and approved by him before work can begin. Another hazard, high voltage electricity, is an ever-present fact of life at Rio Bravo Rocklin. All high voltage sources are clearly labeled. They can be worked on only with the proper permits and clearances. Do not open any electrical cabinets or open and close any breakers without the permission of the control room operator. Now that you have seen and heard our safety briefing, we'll ask you to sign our Safety Contractor Briefing Form, stating that you have seen and understand all the rules and regulations of this facility. If you have any questions, please ask the Rio Bravo Rocklin employee nearest you. We thank you for your time and hope that you will have a safe and productive working experience at Rio Bravo Rocklin.